Good evening. Welcome to the full commission meeting of the Greater Hilltop Area Commission. Tonight is Tuesday, February 7th, 6:30 p.m. here at the Hilltop branch of the Columbus Public Library. If you are watching in on our live stream, there's an opportunity to ask questions, provide comments. We'll do our best to moderate those. If the questions are attached to something that's being presented, we'll try to field those. Any comments we'll certainly take a look at after the meeting. So I'd like to officially call the meeting to order. Joe, as our secretary, would you do roll call, please?
Yes. Base Fry.
Here.
Redno.
Here.
Dallas. Here. Megan.
Here.
Kepler.
Here.
Ethel. She's still on. Okay. Fine.
She said she's not going to be able to make. She's not feeling well tonight.
Okay. Maddox John. Here. Moore.
He's stuck at work tonight. He's not going to be able to make it.
Axton. Wenning. White.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
I am here, and Stryker. Nine. 11. Good job.
Okay, so showing on the screen right now is a copy of our agenda for tonight. I'm going to ask if there's any call for additions, deletions of anything on the agenda for this evening. Just because I've copied and pasted it each month. Nick is not going to be here tonight from the Department of Neighborhoods. He's still kind of a new parent, and so he's going to be here next month. But I understand that Olabisi might have some updates from Nick, maybe, or if you don't know where, no, okay. So that would be the only change I would like to recommend for the agenda for tonight. I'm going to have to put later on in the agenda the approval of minutes. Commissioner Wenning's not here, and she was going to present those in the last meeting and the meeting before. I haven't received those yet, so we're going to have to move those on. Going to have to provide a date that those need to be submitted and get those reviewed by everybody so we can approve them at the next full commission meeting if they're not available by the end of the meeting tonight. Okay, so moving on to the City of Columbus and the staff reports that we have on the agenda. Sergeant Brophy's here tonight. Sergeant Brophy, could you kick us off?
I absolutely can.
Yeah.
There, everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so typically well, again, welcome, happy new year, everybody. Hopefully 2023 should be better than 2022. I was not at the January meeting because I was off injured. So hopefully that's the end of these things. You'll see me more frequently. Typically when I come to the Hilltop Area Commission, I'm able to give a little bit of a crime report where I'm comparing and contrasting where the crime statistics are, relative to this time frame last year or how it's progressing. Unfortunately, the person we had that was compiling those statistics has moved off to a different job, and they have not filled that job back. So it's a little difficult for me to give an actual presentation of where we are statistically speaking as far as hard numbers. With that being said, I do think it's important to go ahead and talk about, some of the things that we know that's on the agenda or what we really are focusing on the Columbus Division of Police. And it's just the same thing with the rest of the city. We recognize that the safety of our citizens is the first and foremost thing that we need to ensure so that our communities can thrive. We have some challenges, especially in the geographical area that the Greater Hilltop Area Commission has two particular areas that we know we have to really kind of address. The first one, Central Hilltop has a statistically higher rate of crime than some of the other portions of the city. And then also the Wedgewood community. So what I hope everybody understands is that, we on the Division of Police recognize that these are particular issues that we need to focus in on. But to focus in on that, we need to make sure that we're using smart policing. Smart policing means that we work in conjunction with our community. We need to make sure that we're building those bridges and trusts within our community so that we can work hand in hand in addressing those crime problems. And then most importantly, we need to make sure that we're doing good constitutional smart 21st century policing, which means that we're laser focused on focusing on who are our most problematic persons, our most criminogenic individuals within a community. It's not a matter of broad net policing anymore. It's in, hopefully you're starting to see a little bit of that, but I do know that the frustrations the community has with this oftentimes is because that type of policing is slow. Which means that, when we have citizens saying, we have a crime problem and we'll say, yes, we agree with you. The net results of how we address those things take a little bit more time. So what I don't want people to think is that because it seems like we're taking more time, we're not attempting to address those issues, but what we're trying to do is this is smarter policing where we don't focus our attention and efforts on individuals who don't need it. And then at the same time, what we do is take a multifaceted approach of both, good investigation, appropriate criminal charging when necessary, but at the same time, involving community outreach and support that goes hand in hand with that. That specifically is a big lift that we're trying to do in Wedgewood. Again, focused policing on the individuals that are cause the most problematic types of crimes. And then also in conjunction with that, making sure that we're doing appropriate outreach so that when we have individuals that, that just needs assistance in making better choices or better opportunities in life, we're affording those opportunities so that those individuals have a chance to be safe and then thrive. To do the smart policing, though, the other thing is we need to make sure that we're working with all of our stakeholders in the criminal justice system and in particular law enforcement. So we are working a lot closer with many of our federal agencies between the FBI, the ATF, so that we can leverage many of the tools that they bring to the table to be able to do these things. Big thing with gun violence is something we call NIBIN investigations, where we use a lot of scientific research as far as tracing and tracking how different guns are used on different crimes, and in using that scientific evidence to build better cases on individuals who are illegally using, selling, or procuring firearms in the city. And that we can't do that without our federal partners. So that is something that we really, really focus hard on. And again, like I said, the end result is those two things: is making sure that our community is safe so that they can thrive, and then B, that we on the Division of Police have the faith in it and that our community that we're working for your best interest collaboratively to make that happen. So hopefully next time we meet, I'll have better numbers so that I can actually maybe speak a little bit more specifically about what the outcomes of those things are. And in the meantime, does anybody have any questions or anything I'd like to ask me in the meantime? Again, it's always a pleasure to be here. I always, yes, you do.
As we get closer to springtime, I've already started hearing fireworks in my neighborhood. Any update on how that's going to be handled this year? Anything different than last year? Is shot spotter still on the table for fireworks?
Not well. So the state has legalized fireworks. And then the shot spotter will not be used for fireworks. And the enforcement side of that is going to be all education. I'll be honest. Now, with leading into other issues coming into spring, I know that the plannings for our summer safety initiatives and stuff like that are coming. I would not expect much on the fireworks side. Like I said, basic legalization of that is going to make it very difficult for it to prosecute anyway. It was hard to prosecute when it was illegal. It's getting harder.
We have a comment here.
I have a question for you. What was the crime rate last time there was a meeting, and do you suspect that it has gone down or has it increased?
Those are the numbers I can't produce because the crime analyst who generates those numbers, we don't have one right now. I'm gonna have to wait till next.
I thought he left this one.
No.
I apologize.
You mentioned Wedgewood, just any general updates about Wedgewood, anything you'd want to share? Is that more to come next week?
I know that Wedgewood is an ongoing, almost daily conversation.
Yeah.
We have monthly meetings, between, all the city entities, Wedgewood management. Working with, like My Project USA, make sure that those outreach programs are there. There is an intensive, law enforcement portion of it that is ongoing. Wedgewood is it's a significant challenge for us. Like I said, there's not a day that does go by that I am not involved in a meeting that how do we address crime in Wedgewood.
Sure.
So it's a work in progress. It's about, it's a work in progress. So,
When you talk about more intentional efforts,
Mhm.
what exactly does that mean?
And I'll speak philosophically about it as opposed to actually what the tactics technically are. But the thing is we in law enforcement, what we want to do is before we focus in on somebody for a long-term or a criminal investigation, outside of, just the different run-of-the-mill things, like a call for a theft or something like that. But when we start talking about, focused enforcement, we want somebody that already has or has shown a propensity of criminal history in the past. Or is associated with a lot of crime. So what you're doing is you're between, like a police reports, interactions with communities, citizens, direct observations by police officers, developing kind of like a list of who are your most high incident individuals that engage in criminal activities. And it's really not that hard to tease too much of that out, because if you take a look at, we do electronic reporting systems. So if we would pull all of, the reports for like a cruiser district, and in that, you're going to start to see a lot of common names that always kind of show up. And that's the first place that we start to look. And then you just kind of like delve into it a little bit deeper. You're going to start to realize that, there's a lot of truth to this. 1 to 2% of a population in a community is going to be responsible for 40 to 50% of the crime. So why would I not focus on the 1 or 2% as opposed to just trying to, and that causes, you deal with, those focused individuals. It has the effect of reducing crime in an overall community by focusing all of our resources on the small numbers, as opposed to just hopefully going out there and maybe catching somebody doing something random. All right. So that what it is just more focused.
So is there a time frame that you're envisioning for this tactic to be used, or is that just in general?
This is an in general philosophy that we're doing on a daily basis.
And is this citywide or just?
It is.
Okay. And then is that going to impact more, like, for instance, we tend to have really bad speeding problems in the Hilltop, right?
Yes.
And enforcement tends to be, because you guys are focused on a multitude of other issues.
So fortunately, we're large enough to say, like, when it comes to certain things, like speeding, we have, then we'll send it over to our traffic bureau. The traffic bureau will come out and work that, as opposed to distracting from something else, another unit to do that. So we don't want patrol officers who have to be responsible to answer your 911 calls and stuff like that, working speeding. They need to be available to take calls from service. Some of our investigative units, they can't be, we want them to focus on the job at hand. And then we have, like I said, we have a traffic bureau. So what we also like to do sometimes is put the right tool on the right problem.
Gotcha.
So that way we can use we have to manage our manpower smartly. And just like everybody else out there, we're short. So, yeah. So that's the idea is to use the appropriate tool for the appropriate.
Gotcha. Thank you, sir.
Can you be specific about the shortages right now that we are experiencing?
That was, so let me hold off on that, because, and the reason I say that is we just had a class go through, we just had another class. I don't know exactly how that satisfies or overcomes some of the shortages we had coming out of the past 2 years. And there also is in the works, and hopefully I think they said that the goal is to have this implemented by May or June, is a revamping of the staffing plan to reduce response times. So that is a project that's in the works. I don't know the details of it. I just know that it's forthcoming.
That was going to be the next question. Is there any kind of a plan or something?
It's a plan. It's in works. Again, I'm not on that committee, so I'm not certain with it. But I do know that, like I said, April, May is when they're expected to be able to say, this is the plan we'd like to move forward with.
Okay, great.
And that will include recruitment too, right?
What that's gonna do is that's just the overall organizational structure of the division on how because we have a certain allocated manpower. All right, so we have certain allocations. So the idea is how do we, because we're not gonna get more allocated from city council anytime soon. So how do we relocate that number? There it is. So it's not so much the recruiting side as much as managing the numbers we already have.
Yeah, well, when I was speaking of recruiting, so not necessarily being a focused part of the staffing plan, because that's HR stuff too, right?
Yes.
So just when the next recruiting class will come, is there a planned one, do you know?
There is always, there is a schedule of recruit classes throughout the rest of the year. I believe that they scheduled 4
Okay.
recruit classes for this calendar year.
Okay.
And I think we've got the first one started, and there'll be 3 more after this.
Okay,
Okay, and then again, like I said, those numbers are generated by
civil service.
civil service and city council. Yes, so thank you.
When you're talking about reallocating,
Mhm.
going back to the matrix report, that was one of the things that came out of that zone 3 needed more. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes and no. What we found out was the matrix report was not good data. We threw that out. However, nobody has ever denied that zone 3 needs more resources. Zone 3 geographically is one of the largest patrol zones. It has the largest number of category 1, category 2 crimes. And everybody says zone 3 needs to have more resources. So this is part of reallocating, removing, kind of like shuffling the numbers around so that we get more. So other places are getting less. Okay, but that is the idea. Now, I have to, like I said, but what we found was matrix report was not, those numbers that they came up with didn't fit. So we had to do something more realistic.
I have one more question, Chair, if you don't mind. When you're next month and the month after, when you have a better idea of the staffing issues we were just talking about and with the new recruits, could you let us know of the new class or total like percentages, how many of them live within the city of Columbus limits, how many living outside of city limits? Is that something you're able
I don't have access to that information.
Are you able to get access to that information?
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay,
If you are, I think a lot of us would love to know that.
I may have to defer that one. Okay, because that's something I don't.
That's fine. Or if you have a contact, we can ask instead.
Okay.
Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here.
Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Always.
Thank you. Okay, next up, Zach Gwynn, I put him on the agenda. I didn't make sure he could be here tonight, but I don't see Zach is here. If he comes in later on, I'll certainly bring up his report. Why don't we, Avery, are you ready to go next? Okay, so Avery Townsend's here from she's a legislative analyst, Division of Community Engagement with City Council. And so I know you sent me an email a little bit before. So yes, for sure.
Okay.
And you asked if you could present some information about just what the budget process is like here in the city of Columbus. And if you want to do your report, and then we could slot you in kind of at a presentation, if you want to do that.
Yeah.
We can
so
also do
I
that.
just wanted to make sure that I know that was the last minute. Like I said, it definitely doesn't have to all be at this meeting. In fact, I'd encourage you to start this as new business and move into old business. But I do know that we have some new commissioners. We have changed a little bit this year what our capital engagement process will look like. So I just wanted to make sure that there was a space while you're considering over the month what you might like think about advocating for you to ask me questions, for me to explain the new process. It's up to you whether I think I'm on there on the agenda, or you guys are the discussions on the agenda already.
It is later on in a new business, the city of Columbus capital budget input recommendations. Yeah.
Okay, we can do it then. It's up to you.
Why don't we do it then? That'd be great.
Works for me. So a couple updates that I have, speaking of finance, the new finance chair for this year is the council president, Shannon Harden. So that's the office that we'll be working with and our team will be working with to do the engagement efforts surrounding the capital budget. And then Councilmember Mitch Brown, who is in former Councilmember Liz Brown's seat, is chairing education and recreation and parks for the end of her term, which ends in the end of 2023. So those were the only updates to committees this year for the remainder of 2023. And then yesterday, we actually did a 2023 general fund amendment kind of announcement with all of the council members. This year, city council added $23 million to the operating budget, which is the most that we've ever been able to add. It's still a balanced budget, of course, but we also added $1 million in our rainy day fund goal of 114 by 2025, 2027. For some reason, I'm blanking on that. So it's 23 million extra dollars, and we like to put them, we like to conceptualize them into buckets, and those buckets this year are affordable and quality housing, good jobs and job training, and safe and healthy neighborhoods. So housing, workforce development, and safety are kind of those really large budgets. If you have not listened to it, 45 minutes, but it's all meat, it's no filler of each of the council members kind of outlining how much money for each of these initiatives. A few of them that I wanted to highlight is an additional $1.2 million for right response, which is the non-police response for mental health crises, which will hopefully take some stress off of the officers. They won't have to respond to all of the mental health calls. We've seen a lot of success with that program so far. That also encompasses things like REACT. We based it off of a program in Dayton, but that's really transformational, a transformational amount of funding. I'm really excited about it. We also did $4 million for an Office of Violence Prevention, which, you know, it will be kind of like the first year of something like that and getting that together. So I'll have more information on what that will look like as we go forward, but the idea is kind of like a holistic community-based approach to violence prevention. Public safety is still the city's #1 investment out of the operating budget. And then we did things like additional funding for the Columbus Promise. Well, not really additional so much of this what we said that we would do. So that sort of thing is in the operating budget. There's a really cool workforce development pilot that we did last year, which was paying residents a wage to go and get workforce development training. We partnered with the Workforce Development Board of Central Ohio. That's like, in comparison to like other cities, it's a really cool kind of like cutting edge workforce development policy. So it went really well. There were 17 people that were paid a living wage that were working multiple jobs to go and get this kind of high quality, high paying job training. If you're interested in that, or you know anyone that might be, please send them my way. And I'll get that information for you. I know we have 8 people signed up to do it this year. And we're bringing all part-time employees at Rec and Parks up to $15 an hour, 17 for lifeguards. We really want the pools open this year, so that's in there. We also doubled the amount of funding for emergency human services funds from $5 to $10 million. That was what we relied on really heavily throughout COVID. We increased the early start pre-K by 25%, which should create 1,200 new openings for pre-K students throughout the city. So those are just some things. There's a lot in it. It's 45 minutes. You don't have to watch, you just have to listen. There's not much to say. There's not much to see. But those are our amendments. Once it's passed, there will be a funding request form. Previously, you know, with the funding request form, it wasn't necessarily something that like our team like brought to you to then proliferate. It would be like if somebody emailed the council office or emailed you directly and requested, hey, I have this nonprofit and we're doing this work in affordable housing, then you know you get the form in that sense. We're going to put it on our website, but once this is through, I'll have a 2023 form for you. I know that your public safety committee has been doing a lot of like outreach with neighbors. You have to be a vendor with the city. If you have anyone that you think like needs to be talked through that process, please reach out to me. But you know, once you're a vendor, you can apply for funding. You do work in those buckets. We have a really simple funding request form. It has I'll send it to you once I have it, but it probably won't change a whole time. But I have a lot. I was very excited about this budget. I think there's a lot of really good things in there, and I want to make sure that, you know, I can work with you guys to help get that money out the door and get it kind of onto the streets in this area. So I had that, and we're going to talk about the capital budget a little bit later, and that's all I have. And I realized I wasn't wearing the microphone, so I'm so sorry.
I think you projected well. I think you did. Hopefully people like it here. So it was a great report. Thank you. Do we have any commissioners have any questions?
We'll get into the capital of it all later.
Very quick question, I guess
Yes.
less for me and more for people watching.
Mhm.
Can you very, very briefly explain where CODA gets its money? Do we need to be advocating for additional CODA funding in the operating budget? Is that like a separate thing that's going to taxes? That's
Yeah.
something that comes up very often. And I don't think
Yeah.
people know how to best be advocating for CODA dollars.
That's a great question. So it's not, I don't believe that, I think it comes from a variety of different funding sources. Can I get back to you on that specifically?
Is it go to the county?
Some of it does come from the county, but
And like,
Yeah.
there's more seats
More
and there's
seats, yeah.
different, it's kind of like, the operating budget generally also comes from like a whole like puzzle of funding sources, but if you want, I can send that to you, if you guys wanted to like put it out on your Facebook, kind of exactly how that breaks down, I can do that. That's a good question. Yes.
About the violence prevention,
Yeah,
I think, so you said it's just new, so you're just gathering information now, or?
yeah, so, that would be, we put $4 million in the budget for a creation of a new office, the Office of Violence Prevention. So I don't really quite have, that's the budgeting would be to get that kind of off the ground. Right now we're working with the mayor's office on that piece, but again, I can get you more information on that. That's definitely, a newer kind of, a newer program that we're gonna.
Yeah, I'm mostly interested in input,
What was that?
input. Who would you be asking about violence prevention?
I'm sorry, well, I'm
Like, there are groups of men now, mostly black men that walk the streets in Linden area, prevent violence. So when you're forming a group for violence prevention, it seems that that would be the people that you would seek out to help you even get it off the ground.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, I think, I'm not exactly sure what that and who that office will consist of, but I think that it's an idea to target gun violence and other types of violence in our communities.
It
For
starts
people,
it starts in the home.
it does, for there to be kind of a hub, a central point in city government that is part public safety, part public health to kind of address a community need. But I think that's really good feedback. And I think, hopefully there will be an infrastructure to get, community members interacting positively with that. And all.
Yeah, I just don't want it to be an in name only
Yeah.
group.
Mhm.
It's really important that if you form that group, even though it looks good
Mhm.
on paper, it's really important how you even start it, how you begin.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you for your comment.
Is the 4 million in addition to the 5 million given to Dettelbach a week ago?
No, I don't think so. To
The ATM.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think that it is separate. We also did $100,000 for block watches. That was something I wanted to mention off the top of my head. So that's as well. Get back to violence.
Yeah, I'm just interested because I didn't see it in part of the budget for this year, but I heard that it came from the capital budget. So I was just interested in that. I did see the 4 million. I just didn't see the 5 million.
Yeah.
Ava, can you please repeat what you said about the 25% increase education? I thought I saw the press release, but what did you
Yeah.
say about that again?
So it was an additional 25% of what the mayor put forward in the budget for early pre-K, to pay for early pre-K for some students in the city of Columbus. So we increased that number by 25%. That was kind of the figure that went out. I can get you the exact number. So it adds 1,200 new openings for those city-sponsored pre-K programs.
Okay, so it's seats in schools, it's seats in pre-K.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
1,200 new seats in pre-K.
Thank you.
Thank you, Avery.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Glad you can stick around for later too. Okay, so on to Ola BC, our West Side Neighborhood Liaison with the Department of Neighborhoods. Welcome. There's a microphone up there.
I got it.
Everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Good evening, everyone. For updates from the Department of Neighborhoods, I wanted to start off by saying we will be having an overview for citywide elections for 2023. That's going to be scheduled for February 22nd. We're going to spend for the first half of that meeting just going over citywide elections, the process for last year. I would really love to hear your feedback. All of you should have received a survey, just asking questions for input. Please, if you haven't had the opportunity to, please complete that. We really want to know ways that we can make this a smoother process for everyone going into this year. But the meeting will, like I said, take place on the 22nd via WebEx. And we ask that each commission designate at least one person to represent and also to serve as election chair. And the election for this year is going to take place on August 26th, the last Saturday in February. We will be reaching out. Oh, I'm sorry, of August, yes. Yeah, last Saturday in August. Outreach and education just on, what is an area commission for anybody that may be interested in running. Will begin in early March, where we have a small internal committee that we're working on getting those digital materials ready. But once again, we would love to hear your input on what other materials would be useful in marketing the election, but also just the commissions as a whole. So we would love to hear from you for that. Next, all of you should have received the area commission training schedule for 2023. If you haven't, please let me know. I'm happy to resend that. Yes. The first presentation is actually scheduled for the 25th of this month. Unfortunately, if you haven't already registered for it, the max capacity has already been reached. But that is for the growth and density presentation, and that will be taking place at the Reeb Center. For those of you who may miss it, I'll try and have some highlights for the next meeting. I will be having community office hours. I'm going to be rotating from each of the libraries on a quarterly basis. So I will start here at the Hilltop, and my first session will be on March 8th at 6 p.m. From 6 to 7:30. And then I'll be here a handful more times through 2023. Really just want to take the opportunity to get to know more people, have them know me, and also hopefully get more engagement in the commission for the future. So drive more traffic here or to the online platforms where you also broadcast these meetings. Please check your weekly update emails from me. My one for this week should be going out tomorrow. I'm working with Keep Columbus Beautiful and the Environmental Court to host a community meeting just on launching litter leagues here on the west side, organizing tire roundups, alley and green space cleanups, and also to promote Kick Butt Columbus, which is going to take place on March 11th at 9 a.m. But more information will be in the West Side Bulletin, set to be released tomorrow. So far in my short time as the community liaison, it's probably been the #1 thing that people have been expressing concern about, just litter, trash, in the alleyways and the streets. So really want to work with these various departments throughout the city to have a more concentrated and smoother effort to try and keep the streets clean. So I hope all of you will join that day and invite your friends. We want to beat the people in what is it? Mayfair, the Mayfair neighborhood. They were ranked #1 for the Litter League last year. We need to beat them. Sorry, I'm a little competitive. And then just a little bit on Wedgwood outreach. So I'm actually a part of that engagement team. We're currently hosting community power hours in the I guess I like to call it a party house, but maybe like community room for the apartment complex. And we host that every Friday from 3:30 to 5:30. We're looking for organizations that are interested in offering some type of workshop or training geared specifically towards parents living in Wedgwood. So far CPD has partnered with My Project USA to host workshops on various topics. But if you or if you know of any organization that would be interested in hosting, please connect with me. We're looking to book time slots for March and going forward. So yeah, please connect with me if you're interested in that, or if you're also interested in participating on the engagement committee, sorry. And then finally, the City of Columbus, the Department of Utilities is looking to replace and update water meters and electrical meters throughout the city. Over 300,000 dwellings are going to be affected by this. They will be in the Hilltop area beginning in September, going into October. We're hoping to have a representative come. I would imagine in the early summer, just to give more information about that, because residents will be required to sign up online to register for a time slot. It also will result in water being shut off for about an hour while the transition takes place. Or for those who may have already have an updated meter, the radio transmitter will need to be replaced on that. It will allow for a remote shut off. So I just wanted to, yes. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that everyone is well informed on that. And if there's anything else, let me see. But yeah, I will be in touch with you, Commissioner Fagan, just to get that on the schedule, because I know there'll probably be a lot of questions. And I am definitely not the point person for that, but I'm happy to direct people to the right one to answer any questions.
Great. You have a question, Victoria?
Oh, I do. So regarding Wedgewood and the workshops that you're having for parents, mostly in Wedgewood.
Yes.
And so what are you looking for?
Really a variety of different topics. I know financial literacy is one that we are looking for more partners to engage in the Wedgewood community. So right now we have the CARE Coalition doing various trainings. We have Columbus Police doing various trainings, but really, how should I say, sky's the limit. Any and all resources that people are willing to share and offer. We're really trying to rebuild the engagement foundational work that was really eroded during COVID. There's a lot of mistrust in that community right now, and a lot of misinformation being circulated about, like, various outreach efforts that are going on there right now. So we're really trying our best to just introduce as many different resources as possible to help people from just give a comprehensive approach to outreach.
Is there an existing list? So I know of a number of people who can provide some workshops surrounding a lot of different things, but if there's a list of what you already, so that we can fill in the gaps,
Sure.
that would be helpful.
No, happy to connect with you to
Okay.
provide that.
All right.
Great.
So did I hear correct? So did I miss a memo about, did I miss a memo about, like, are we mandatory now having to participate in citywide elections?
I'm so sorry. No, that it is
Okay.
not mandatory.
I was just,
We're
I was
hoping-
checking.
Yeah, we're hoping to have more of the commissions participate this year, but yes, it is not mandatory.
So just to be clear, everybody got an email with a survey attached to say, did you participate last year? What were your thoughts? There were some questions to answer. Then you need one representative from a commission to attend a meeting to get more information. That doesn't mean we're committing to the citywide election.
Exactly, yes,
Okay.
it's not.
Kind of clarify.
Yeah, I would say the majority of the meeting is just going to be receiving feedback from the various commissions, like, if you did participate, what went well, what didn't. If you didn't, what are your reservations for, like, not, or what are your reservations towards participating?
Great.
Can we explain the difference in citywide elections and like the regular commission election, just for folks out there? I mean, there may be, can you explain?
Oh, well, I'll try to explain as best I can, because I know each commission does theirs differently. Yeah, so with citywide election, I guess the best example I can give, since I used to be a Southwest area commissioner at Southwest. So prior to citywide elections, we would host our election during National Night Out. So with that, we had a guaranteed crowd. People would, that were interested in running would submit a form, basically an intention of interest to run. And they would show up in person and, just be able to answer any questions and, advocate for themselves in a way. Election would take place and the new person would be installed that September. So with these elections, it allows for the city to take on more of the role of being able to advertise and advocate on your behalf for the commission. So you guys don't have to do as much groundwork in marketing elections and marketing what a commission is, because it's going to be happening on a citywide level. And we're taking steps to start a lot earlier in the process. Part of the reason why I'm initiating community office hours, to be able to share the information on what a commission is, what you guys do, the benefits of the community, and how to get involved. So.
Great, thank you. Sammy, did you have a final question?
No, not right now.
No, okay, great.
Thank you.
We said thank you. I just want to say you have hit the ground running. You have hit the ground running. Yeah, you're doing a fantastic job. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that she's doing. We had an opportunity to meet and talk for a couple of hours just about kind of what goals of this commission and just how she could support us. And she took these long, the pages of notes. And before I knew it, within days, you're like shooting stuff out and getting stuff done. So you really hit the ground running, doing a great job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to assist.
Okay, and I said Nick's not able to join us from representing the Envision Hilltop project tonight, so he will be here next month. The plan is, I've said this for a couple of meetings, for him to kind of get us up to date on the implementation of the Envision Hilltop plan. So he'll plan to do that. Okay, he'll plan to do that next month. We've moved announcements up. I want to see first from commissioners. Are there any announcements, anything you want to share with the commission or anybody in the audience? And then once we're up here, if anybody in the audience has any announcements.
I have an announcement.
No.
So I'm gonna stand up for this because I'm super excited about it. In case you have not heard, Saturday is Hilltop History Day here at Hilltop Library. And yours truly is doing a presentation at 4 o'clock. It is more tragic and true stories of the old Hilltop. It's essentially my true crimes presentation, but with many new stories from the last time I did it. Also, we are begging, pleading, hoping that everybody comes out with their photos, their documents, any sort of historical things that they have from their years in the Hilltop to share with the library to add to their My History website. The local history and genealogy folks will be here to scan them and take the information down. They're also starting a pilot project to start collecting oral history stories, videotaped, reserved for the My History site, so that all of this stuff is public, accessible, and available for everybody 24/7, 365. So please come. The Hilltop History Day starts at 10 a.m. and ends at 4, and at 4 o'clock will be my presentation. So I hope to see everybody there.
Thank you.
So A Step in the Right Direction will be launching their hygiene-free store in March. So this is an exciting piece of work that we've been working on since the fall. So we have officially secured funds and donations to go ahead and launch in March. So this is directed only towards the west side area. So Franklinton, the Hilltop, and the far west side only. So we have 4 specific zip codes that folks have to be living in to request. They're able to request 5 items a month. And then what they'll do is we have set days where they can pick up their items from us here at the Hilltop Library. So once we get that flyer out, I will send that to everybody and they can actually just scan a QR code, fill out a Google form. And then they receive an email just confirming that, yes, they're approved. And all these items range from, you know, your various hygiene items to also your cleaning items. So detergent, dish soap, toilet paper, trash bags, like those bare minimum things to help with folks in Hilltop. So I'll send that out, and if you don't have my email already, let me know and I can send that out also, because we want to make sure that folks utilize this resource. So we're super excited. So if you have any questions, also let us know.
Thank you.
Very quickly, and I will be doing more announcements as we get committees going as part of the governmental legislation committee. City council races are well underway. Petitions were due last week. I am personally aware of 3 people who have submitted petition signatures. We will not know for sure if they've made it onto the ballot until next Monday, I believe. But please do stay tuned for events, outreach, different things we're going to be doing to just get the word out about a potential primary that we'll have in May. Get excited. And also the Parks and Rec Department is going to be doing their summer camp sign up starting at the end of the month. So if you have kids or you know anyone who does, the camps are awesome. They're all over the city. They're indoor, outdoor, sports, arts, everything. I believe those open on the 26th or 28th.
Excellent. Thank you. The other commissioner announcements. I don't know if you go over to anybody that's attending. Anybody have an announcement? I think Olabisi did. Do you have an announcement?
Yes. Awesome. Just for the commissioners and anyone in the audience, if any of you have upcoming events or resources that you would like to share with the community on the west side, please send it to me and I will include it in the west side bulletin.
Great.
Good evening, I'm Tavia from Care Coalition. I just wanted to announce that the Highland West Empowerment Project has been going along and we have canvassed 400 households in the Highland area. Next it will be the meetings, and I put a flyer up on the table with the meeting dates, and some are virtual, some are in person, and there's also a QR code that you can do the survey on as well. Thank you.
I want to invite the community to a Hilltop Chili Cook-Off, which is going to happen on National Chili Day, which happens to be February the 23rd, Thursday, February 23rd at the Hilltop YMCA from 5:30 to 7. We'll have groups are going to bring in chili. You'll vote for your favorites, and the champion will win a golden ladle. And I want to invite the Hilltop Area Commission. If you'd like to participate, please let me know and bring in your chili. Maybe you'll win. Anybody else here in the community, if you just want to represent yourself or a group, let me know and we'll make sure that you'll have a spot. So this is February 23rd, 5:30 to 7. Thanks.
That's really fun. Thanks, Kevin. Okay, great. Thank you. Moving on then from announcements, we're on to presentations. So I will let her introduce herself, but Hilltop Rise, the Economic Community Development Corporation, has a new executive director, and here she is, Morgan. Going to spend a few minutes kind of telling us about her and the Hilltop Rise.
Everyone hear me?
Yes.
I do not project well, so thank you for having a microphone.
Sure.
Everyone, my name is Morgan DeVos. I am the first executive director at Hilltop Rise, which is a labor of love from our board chair, Betty James, who you probably have heard about Hilltop Rise from. You're good, keeping it going, Josh. So our why. Hilltop Rise was founded to function as a place pillar in the Envision Hilltop plan that was published in 2020. And we can make sure that these slides are available to anyone who wants to go through and reference. I tried to hyperlink things that the community may or may not be aware of. And our main goal is to support and empower new businesses as well as small minority women-owned businesses on the Hilltop. We were just out today canvassing, talking to some business owners on West Broad, and I am super excited to be plugged into this community. And then to strengthen and reconnect current business owners with opportunities to thrive. My background is in social work, and as much as I'm happy to be in this place pillar and truly believe that we can make some great change, I am trauma informed to the core. So I am here to support, thank you. I'm here to support our community however best we can. So very happy to be here, very happy to be a representative as a new resident as well. So happy to be plugged in. First steps, meet with community stakeholders. We're already doing this, meeting with business owners, key decision makers, whether that's legislators, community members, etc. My greatest hope is to listen to community concerns and then form our plan informed by the Envision Hilltop plan. There's a lot of plans. Planning to listen is what I want to do. So listen to everyone, gather that feedback, and then make informed decisions. I've had a lot of people ask me what's the first thing I want to do, and my response is it really doesn't matter. It matters what everyone else needs, and then to form a response. So we're here to listen, we're here to learn, and we're here to help drive economic growth on the West Broad and Sullivan corridors. That being said, come hang out with us tomorrow. We have a community open house at Third Way Cafe from 6 to 8 p.m. If you pull out your phone, you can scan to RSVP if you haven't already. We also have some flyers that Betty is going to hand out. We'll have Machete food truck there. Everyone will get a voucher for a meal. And then Third Way Cafe is also going to showcase their new bourbon collection. So if you come, you get a free drink, a voucher to Machete, and you get to hang out with some wonderful people to network, connect. And if you can't make it tomorrow night, my email is up there. It's executive director@hilltoprise.org, or reach out to Betty. If you don't, you probably will have her personal phone number by the end of the night. So feel free to reach out. We'll be developing some community hours here. Hopefully we'll either be available at the library or Third Way Cafe, but I am open and available. Will love to talk to everybody. I always say I'm a very social introvert, so I like one-on-ones. Come find me, we'll have a great conversation. But yeah, I'm so grateful to be here to serve in this role and look forward to connecting with everyone.
Great, thank you, Morgan. Thank you. Are you okay if anybody has any questions?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if anybody does, but any questions from commissioners? This is really exciting.
Very exciting. Super exciting. All right,
I have a question.
Victoria.
Yeah. So if someone is interested in starting a business on the hilltop, what's one of the first things they should do?
Ooh, so I would say, make a plan, and then, you can come talk to me. I have a minor in entrepreneurial management. My family are all entrepreneurs. I love to talk about business plans, but I would say make a plan and just start talking to people, anyone and everyone you can. But I'd be happy to walk anyone through that if they are in that curiosity stage. But one of my greatest hopes in this role is to provide educational workshops and networking opportunities. So being able to provide new and existing business owners with access to financial literacy, to opportunities, especially this time during tax season, to make sure that their books are good to go. Opportunities for grants, both startup, entrepreneurial grants, and existing business, small business loans, grant systems as well. So my hope is to be able to provide, I don't want to say wraparound, but just a various assortment of opportunities that could possibly help, existing curious individuals.
Yeah. That could be something good for Wedgwood as well, right? Yeah,
Why not?
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Do you get a question, sir? You're going, okay. Great, thank you, Morgan. Thank you so
Thank you.
Right, so next up on the agenda under presentations, Jack O'Grady's here. He's the Community Outreach Coordinator for the Franklin County's Auditor's Office. And he's here to talk about a couple of items tonight. So welcome, Jack. Thank you, Sergeant Bowles.
All right, is this working?
We're talking.
All right,
That's what
it's working. Awesome. I'm like you said, I'm Jack O'Grady. I'm the newest community outreach coordinator with the Franklin County Auditor's Office. Just here to give a few updates on what the Auditor's Office is up to. So first off, over on the table, we have a bunch of materials that we'd like to give out. One of them, the biggest one that I'd like to push is the homeowners reappraisal survey. So 2023 is the sexennial reappraisal for all of Franklin County. If you are a homeowner, we ask that you take one of the surveys. The date to turn those in is March 31st, I believe. It's just a few questions like how long have you owned your home, like different parks in the neighborhood, just getting like a generalization of what your home and your neighborhood look like so that we can accurately reappraise all of the homes in Franklin County. You don't have to take it, but we would love it if you take it. We also have QR codes on it if you don't feel comfortable filling it out tonight, or if anybody you know would like to fill it out, that'd be great. There's also, looks like this, I have a little display. We also have some more information on the property reappraisal over there, as well as the homeowner assistance program. That is basically, you can submit a complaint for your reappraisal. Also deadline by March 31st. We do a triennial reappraisal. So you should have a generalization of what your current property tax or your property reappraisal value is. If you submit it by then, you can get your early reappraisal value in August and then meet with the Board of Revisions or mediation in September. And then the final amounts should be out in December. What we do with the homeowner assistance program is for qualifying homeowners. I want to say it's under 75,000 gross income. You can meet with a real estate agent or a attorney. We also are taking volunteers for that. If anyone in here qualifies under that or knows anybody, that'd be great. More information over there. So you meet with one of them and they can talk to you. We have upcoming sessions, I think 4 of them in March. The volunteer training is in February. I want to say February 28th. So you meet with them, they give you information, they meet with you about your reappraisal, tell you if like it's a good idea, because not everybody wants to submit a reappraisal. There's a bunch more. Found out about this today, so a bunch of the information's over there. I might read up on it afterwards too. And then we also upcoming, we have the Affordable Housing Resource Fair on March 11th. I know that Kick Butt Columbus, I think you said, was also on March 11th. So if you want to go to both of those events, ours is from 11 to 2. I think you said yours started at 9. Sounds like a 9:30?
9 to noon.
9 to noon. Sounds like an eventful day. So the Affordable Housing Resource Fair, last year we held it at East High School. We had 45 agencies, I want to say, and we had over 500 constituents show up. This year, we are hosting it at Southwood Elementary over on South 4th Street. Right now, we don't have all of the agencies nailed down. I think we're at 29 right now. We're also working on sending out an RSVP link so that people can let us know if they plan on coming, because last year we weren't expecting 500, which was a great problem to have. But this year, if we're going to have 500 or more, we'd love to have some sort of an understanding of that. That is from 11 to 2. It's open for everyone. So we'd love it if you RSVP, but you don't have to. I think that might have been everything I had.
Great, thanks, Jack.
Can I make a suggestion? I always make this suggestion, is bringing it closer to the west side.
I believe we are looking to move it around the city. That's why we moved it from east last year. We're in communication with Columbus City Schools. I think they wanted to have it at east again, and we are looking to move it around the city. That way it can be accessible for everyone. Like East was on a bus line. I think Southwood might be on a bus line as well. But we're just trying to, I think it's every 6 months. This one was in September. This one's in March. So I think we're just trying to move it around the city.
Yeah, because I feel like the Hilltop lacks in a lot of the resources because they're always off this side of town. And most people, if they don't have bus fare, if they're looking for a job, they're not gonna drive, you know, they're not gonna be able to get out there. So I really want to start seeing more things,
Okay.
at least closer, at least, even if it's in Franklinton, you know, it's still, you know, that's closer than on the east side or on the south side right now
Gotcha.
for residents.
Keep in mind, so I'm a pedestrian who, I don't drive. A lot of groups will say, oh, it's on the bus line.
Mhm.
But for some people, that might be an hour, 2 hour long trip
For sure.
from their end of town. So it's not as, so in addition to the actual event they're hoping to attend, they have to account for travel time too, which sucks. So
Gotcha.
FYI.
Certainly, that's very helpful feedback.
And so maybe the auditors can commission a bus. Yeah, these are just suggestions.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, for those underserved communities,
Mhm.
not just Hilltop, but others across the city.
Definitely.
Yeah, even if it's just one.
Do you know roughly how much, I don't even know how to word this, how much input is coming from the surveys versus like neighborhood walks for when those appraisals actually get done?
That's a
Where's
good
the
question.
input? What is the final decision made up of?
So it's a bunch of different factors like recent sales in your neighborhood based on similar size, similar age. It's also like an overview of the outside of your home. So that's one of them. The surveys are a newer thing we're trying to push out. That way, if there are discrepancies we see with how you or your community see the appraisal in your neighborhood, the Board of Revisions will review those and we'll send a team out to reevaluate that. That's just one of like a few, I could, off the top of my head, those are just one of a couple things that go into it.
What, just real quick, I apologize if you said this, but what is the timeline? There's the March 31st cutoff, but then when are the actual numbers of the new reappraised values?
So in August, I can't think of the word, the non-final appraisals come out in August. Then if you file a complaint by March 31st, just like the survey, you can meet with, it usually takes 6 months to get a mediation.
March 31st of 24.
No, so if you file your complaint by March 31st of this year, and then you'll have your tentative value. There's another value that went out in 2020, which is basically what you're working with right now. And then August, you'll have your tentative value. September is the deadline or when the BOR mediation will be going on, and then December is when the final values come out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess my confusion, we're not getting, homeowners are not gonna see a number before.
So if you access the auditor's website now, you can search your parcel, you can see that there.
Yeah.
But that'll be the 2020 number.
Right.
So this year is when you're working with that. So yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Is there any plan to address that?
That's above my pay grade. No idea.
Gotcha.
Great, so there's 2 questions from the audience. So-
Gotcha.
I'm confused about the form. You said you can fill it out if you want to.
It is an optional survey. We'd love it if you completed it, but you do not have to.
Okay, so please slow down a little bit.
Mhm.
I'm probably the only person in the room, so slow down.
I got you.
So everybody's houses are going to get appraised this year.
If you live in Franklin County, yes.
Okay, and the form that we fill out is what?
So the survey is basically, I have an example here if you'd like it, but it's like how long have you lived at this property? You put your address, the desirability of your home, the desirability of your neighborhood, things like that, just like things about your neighborhood, like, and it's a 1 to 5, basically, it's a checkbox. So that information lets us know, or lets the Board of Revisions know, or collectively, so it'd be great if you filled it out, so it's not just like one person from a neighborhood's information. But they use that as kind of a way to, one of the ways that they reappraise the property value of your home and other ones in the neighborhood.
So if I speak for my house, I'm also everybody else's house will be assessed by my house?
It, in a way, but it's not like your answer to that survey is gonna directly impact somebody else. It's just how they take an assessment of what people in the community think. So if there's a big discrepancy when they do the tentative values, they'll reassess these and then they'll go out into the community and have like an actual team there doing that.
I
So
can
this
think
is,
of streets and streets and streets of uninformed people who don't
Mhm.
know about what you're talking about
Mhm.
right now. How do you get that? I'm just feeling lucky that I'm sitting here, hearing you
appreciate
say this.
Mhm.
Like the gentleman said, is it's like a secret, you know,
not a secret. That's why the community outreach coordinators like myself are trying to go out into the area commissions, the civic associations, different events that we're hosting, and we're trying to push these surveys at everything that we're at.
How
So,
about churches? Are you
I
allowed to
believe-
go to churches?
yes, we definitely are. I think we're giving them at churches too.
Have
believe
you,
so.
have you personally gone to any church in the Hilltop area?
No, this is my third week with the auditor's office, so
Doing great, by the way.
thank you. Doing my best. So personally, no, I have not yet, but I believe I will be.
And still, so on those neighborhoods that I'm speaking of that I lived in,
Mhm.
so if, you know, I went back to my old neighborhood and burst into tears because almost every other house had yellow tape on it
Mhm.
or an FBI sticker in the window or whatever, do not enter, no trespassing, blah, blah, blah. Neighborhoods in our neighborhoods are falling down. So if one person in that neighborhood were to speak for their whole neighborhood,
Mhm.
would that bring more to that neighborhood? I mean, would it help people then?
I'm not sure exactly how much it would help with the foreclosure and whatnot. It would certainly assist in our sexennial reappraisal, but I don't know specifically if filling out this survey would directly impact
I see.
foreclosure.
So the survey really isn't as important as I'm thinking it is.
I suppose not.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. So we'll take one more comment or question. Betty has one.
Okay, during the triennial,
Mhm.
everyone's appraised value went up 20%, taxable value went up 20% across the board. And this, as I understand, they're going to look at each individual parcel and do an individual appraisal.
I'm not
3 years
sure.
ago was a flat 20% across.
Was that with the triennial
Yes,
reappraisal
it
or was that
with
with?
the triennial?
Okay, I can't speak to that. I'm not familiar with that. I apologize.
Okay, well, my question is,
Mhm.
the real estate market today is much
Mhm.
different than it was
Correct.
even 6 months ago. The
Mhm.
DOMs have gone up, days on market have gone up. What recent sale period will they be using to assess?
I want to say it's within the last year, but it might be the last 6 months. I'm not positive about that.
I mean, even the last year is much different than the last 6 months.
Certainly.
Because the market has cooled.
Mhm.
So that was my concern, is that we're looking at the right data point.
Gotcha. I can look into that for you if you'd like to take my contact information. I can get back to you on that, but as of right now, I'm not super positive with it.
Is there a measure that you would prefer, like an average of the last 3 years or
Well,
a median?
Lenders look at what last 3 months or last 6 months. So for our taxable value to be looked at over a year, a lender doesn't look at that. For that, and I mean, the Board of Revision, I can tell you, I've gone through it several times, it's very user friendly. I found it very, very helpful. But I am concerned about what period they're gonna use, because I don't think the year's sales is gonna be fair.
Yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying. I don't know for sure, but I could definitely talk to someone about that.
Jack, some of the questions that have come up tonight, can you follow up with an email and just kind of share back with us some of those things, please? And then we can make sure we distribute it. I am gonna, Hannah, one more question.
Yes, thank you. Can you give us a little more information about the residents that make one?
So it's the homeowner assistance program. Again, I was given this information today, so I can go through it briefly, but essentially it's the same as going through the Board of Revisions, filing a complaint about your reappraisal value. But in this instance, you will be paired with a realtor or an attorney to help walk you through the steps of that. especially well, with the we have 4 in-person clinics coming up in March, starting on the 4th, I believe. I think it's weekly in March, so they meet with people there. I think that's more to give them a step up on the reappraisal going through BOR and the mediation process is my understanding. Again, I can get you more information.
Yeah.
I was given that on my way.
There's tons of people like string along.
Certainly.
There's a comment or question online that Josh is going to bring forward or close.
Will the survey be posted on the auditor's site? It currently isn't there.
Interesting. I definitely thought that it was.
It is online, it's just, it's not
I think,
immediately obvious when you get.
I think it's found there.
I tried searching Franklin County Auditor's Office neighborhood survey.
I think I found
Awesome.
And if they just type in their parcel or type in the address, once it brings up, it shows at the top of that also, and then click it and it puts everything in for them.
If not, we have the QR code for it as well on these sheets, so we can probably send that over in an email to pass on as well. Right.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. I appreciate it. Yeah. All right, so we're past the hour mark here. Time is not my friend, so we are going to kind of speed this up. Reports of officers. I've got some things I'd like to share with commissioners. Couple of things that I want to try to move forward here in the next couple of months. The Undesign the Red Line exhibit has currently been moving around, and it's going to be at the main library from February 15th through March 15th. And I've asked if the commission during any time between March 15th and February 15th and March 15th, that the Kevin Wheeler, the Assistant Director of Growth Policy, is willing to host us and kind of curate a tour of the exhibit and have a conversation with us. The Greater Hilltop Area Commission and anybody that would like to be a part of that, it would kind of a led kind of tour through the exhibit, and we'd be able to have a chance to ask some questions. So that's something that I'm going to send out, just a little doodle poll or something. So it's not the week of February 27th, but sometime between February 15th and March 15th, I'd like to formally invite commissioners and anybody listening in to actually go downtown to the main library to see the Undesign the Red Line exhibit. I think it's important foundationally for us as commissioners. I really love to have everybody in attendance if possible. Number two, as part of the Zone in Columbus committee that I've been representing, I got to hear a presentation from the Assistant Director of Housing Strategies for the City of Columbus. Her name is Erin Prosner. Yeah, she's amazing. And so there's a presentation that she did on the Columbus housing strategy. I have never been more enthralled in a presentation than I can remember. She is rapid fire presenter, had a ton of information. And basically it's like, what challenge are we facing here around keeping housing affordable in Columbus? What's the city's plans on doing that? And what's the role in zoning potentially, right? So she's agreed to come to our next area commission meeting and do a very slimmed down presentation. It's going to be a slimmed down presentation, but I wanted to be a teaser to, I would like us to literally host her here at the library a couple of times or other places on the hilltop to make sure that as many people as possible can hear this presentation. I think it's important. I think it opened my eyes to a lot of things that I kind of thought about and knew, but it was really, she's a great resource. And I think that we all need to, Victoria and I met at Dingho's at the restaurant, talked about what some of our goals might be. I think that understanding what the housing strategies are for the city of Columbus, not everybody is going to be necessarily happy about these, but I think we need a base level of understanding. I think having Kevin give us a tour of the Undesign the Red Line exhibit and then hearing this presentation. And I talked with Erin about, would you be willing to give us a high level presentation and then do subsequent, like if questions come and we'd like to go deeper, then we'll set up subsequent meetings to be able to do that. There'll be a lot of questions at this presentation, I'm sure. So I'm gonna preempt this. I will get this PowerPoint out to everybody on the commission. But, you know, I probably have to not be able to generate a ton of questions at the next meeting because we won't be able to give it the time it needs, but it will be a teaser for another meeting. Okay, makes sense? Any questions about that? I did do committee assignments. We're going to talk about those later. Everybody got an email of the committees and the leadership that's going to happen. I want to remind everybody that Mike Alcock that works here at the library has been really helpful in terms of booking these rooms for committee meetings. So if you're going to change the location or time of your meeting, it's really important that we communicate with Mike here at the library so that he unbooks what we have reserved and then extends. He's only given us reservations for like the first quarter of this year. So if you like the times and all of that, I can get you Mike's information, but if not, just go to the front desk. Mike's always available. They're having the Columbus Public Library is celebrating its 150th birthday. So we have been invited and we need to let them know by February 19th if we want to do a resource table here on March 4th as part of celebrating the birthday bash. So I'll pass that on to our community relations committee meeting, but I wanted to give everybody a heads up about that. We need to schedule it might be later on in new business. We need to schedule a finance committee meeting. Wanted to also ask that our community relations committee dig into our Facebook page and look at giving all new commissioners access or what the protocol is going to be on that. Not everybody all new commissioners have access. Okay. So
Everybody's whose Facebook account I can find should have access. And the website was updated. So if you guys see something that needs updated, let me know. Thank you.
I'm just kind of reviewing my notes here to see if there's anything else to say. I think I'm good. That's my report for this evening. Any other officers have any reports that starting with Victoria or Vice Chair?
Not this time, but I will.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We did hear from Rachel. Just messaged over just now. She will not have the minutes for us in time today. So I'll say thank you and we'll expect the next one.
Perfect. Thank you, Joe. Josh, as our new treasurer, it's okay. We need to do quarterly financial reports about where our finances sit and the amount of money that we receive from the city, the $500. So we've officially not spent a dime of that this year. So we will make sure that you get added as a signer on our account. Make sure we do that here in the next 30 days. And then that's why I really want to encourage the finance committee to get together and talk about what we have to do the rest of this year. Okay. Great. Here we go. Here we go. So our reports on committee, our chair for zoning, let me take a half step back. I'm going to finish my report, I promise. On the committee assignments, if you haven't had a chance to look at the email that I sent just a couple of days ago, I was suggesting we have a lot of committees, and so around the community pillars of place, people, and home, I thought that the work of our committees might be able to kind of group together. So that's a suggestion. It's not a requirement. So I've had some questions about that, and I think everybody's kind of understanding of that. But that's one of the things I wanted to suggest so that we can maybe slim down. Like I, as the chair, would like to attend every committee meeting. If a couple of them got grouped together, that would make my life better personally. I've talked to the LBC, we've talked to the Department of Neighborhoods. There was a question last month about, like, let's say we start the zoning committee at 6 o'clock. We would have to start that meeting, do the agenda, adjourn the meeting officially, and then we could start up with the next committee at, set the time for the agenda, right? Like that's permissible. It's going to be allowable. We're not going to bump into any kind of Robert's rules or bylaws problems or anything like that. So I know this is nebulous in terms of, I'm just going to give committee chairs the opportunity to talk amongst each other and say if there's any efficiency on bringing committees together, we would welcome that opportunity to slim down their meetings. And I think it helps people that want to stay informed and give feedback and be a part of our committees an opportunity to get, two committees attended at one time. So that's my final thing about that. So on to reports of committees, zoning, our chair had just emailed me a little bit ago, so I'm gonna do my best to read this. At our zoning committee meeting, which Josh will be on, help me out with the date, it'll be February
21st.
February 21st, it'll be Tuesday here, right here in this room. There's gonna be 4 applications are gonna be heard. The first is at 2327 West Broad Street, park a food truck overnight. It's the first. The second is a zoning variance and a council variance for 3440 West Broad Street. There's a long paragraph here. So they're seeking rezoning part of the property to M zoning and to legitimize some of the existing development. So there's a lot of words here, but the address is 3440 West Broad. It's Z22-099 and CV22-159. The third is 346 Ryan Avenue. It appears the developer homeowner is seeking to build a duplex and new carriage house, 4 units in 2 buildings, reduction of parking, allow rear parking, etc. That's council variance 23-003. And the fourth is 1826 Hollow Run Drive, BZA 20-003. This gentleman owns that home, put in a carport a number of years ago, and it's needs to be looked at whether or not it's not, there's not enough distance between it and the neighbor. So if anybody needs me to repeat any of those addresses, I'd be happy to do that, but that's my zoning committee report. The next meeting will be on Tuesday, February 21st, here at the branch of the library.
What time? What time is it gonna be? Did she change it?
I think starting at 5:30 this month makes sense because there's a number of applications, so it will be 5:30 on February 21st.
Chair, can you please repeat the 346 Ryan Avenue?
Yeah, they're seeking to build a duplex and new carriage house, 4 units in 2 buildings, reduce parking from 4 spaces to 2, allow rear building to not front the streets, waiver of rear yard requirement for the rear building. It's a lot of details there. Great, so we just appointed new committee chairs. The rest of our committees, I'm just going to ask for you to volunteer, starting with community relations. If you have a report, if not, you can pass. A lot of committees didn't meet in January. We're going to kind of get started back up in February. Does community relations have a report? If not, you can pass. Yeah. No report this evening. Government legislation? No report, thank you. Human services and education.
Yes.
Real quick. I'm looking at the folks who have access right now. If you have not accepted the access within 31 days, it will delete that access request. So I'm sending out new ones now for the folks that aren't on there.
For human service and education, we do have confirmed attendees from the Columbus Board of Education. This is going to be Jennifer Adair, interim super chair, chief of staff Mike, and area supervisor Scott Nelson. This meeting is planned for March 15th here at the library at 6 p.m. This is to go over again the letter that the full commission approved back in November. I am working on a PowerPoint presentation to kind of like recapitulate some of that information to try to hit home to those in attendance of the lack of resources within our Far West corridor. Again, if you'd like to attend, please go on to Facebook and mark that you're going to attend so I can get a good idea of how many people are going to show up. I have invited a lot of people from City of Columbus, Board of Education, the school department, or Columbus City Schools, Parks and Rec,
and public safety, just because we're trying to get a multi-use facility over in that region and possibly a new pool, library. There's just a lot of hopeful wishes for the far west side of our community.
Great, thank you for the report. Liquor permit review, don't have a report for this evening. Planning and economic development.
I just want to note that we are not going to have a meeting this Thursday. We're going to try to combine with public safety. We're still working on locking down a time.
Oh, neat. Okay, so our public safety and planning and economic development committees might try to join time blocks possibly. More to come. Okay, great. Public safety, any report on public safety?
Yep, so, last 2 Saturdays or so, we had the Care Coalition join us, so we're kind of working in tangent with them and the Highland Rise, or the Highland Resiliency, right? So we're working hand in hand with them and sharing our results and kind of working to see what results they come up with. I know they shared with us the dates for their upcoming roundtable, so anybody's more than welcome to join those or share any input that you guys may have. Also, they sent out a flyer. There are more flyers here. So we ask that you share that with your neighbors that are in that area. And if you guys need to know what area that is, what 7 blocks that is, feel free to ask. We have the PowerPoint, and then Octavia is also there, so she can also share that with you. And then we're working on our next meeting for this month.
Thank you. Recreation Parks, any report?
Yes, if you please go to the Greater Hilltop Area Commission website under documents, and in the 2023 folder, you'll find a version of the park audit form. We're going to be going over that this month. I'm going to meet with Joe to get a time and date set so we can do a combined meeting for human service and education and recreation and parks. Also going to be putting out our schedule for this year for our park audits. We're going to be trying to hit several of them this year with a focus on reevaluating them and pushing back to recreation and parks, the need for improvements in those parks. We're also going to try to do a litter cleanup as well. Again, there's a lot going on this year. I'm pretty sure Glenwood Lower Level is going to have a grand opening celebration party possibly later this year. So there's more information to come on that. Again, a lot coming out of recreation and parks this year, and I look forward to it. Appreciate it. Great.
All right, just wanted to do a shameless plug. Sorry, just wanted to do a shameless plug. The committee should highly think about joining Litter League.
Yeah. Shameless plug.
Yeah, that was,
That's awesome.
good job.
Yeah. Cool, Jane, thank you for your report. So 2 things before we move on to unfinished business and new business. Take a look at, as James talked about, our website, cbusareacommissions.org. If you are new on the commission, there's an opportunity to describe what each committee is and what it does. We need to go back and revisit those. There's some that are still blank. There's some that maybe need some revisions. I really want to encourage everybody's committee to start that as one of the first orders of business, is to go back and review our website. I think it's important. I think it's important to bring clarity to what our committees are doing and kind of what their charters are. And then if anybody needs help with, I didn't go through and say, when is everybody going to meet necessarily? If anybody needs help with the cadence of meetings that we've been doing as we've moved kind of committee memberships around, tried really hard to not put people on more than 2 committees if I didn't have to. So, scheduling may be tough, but Josh will pick it up. Josh does a great job on keeping our calendar updated on our website. So make sure you're communicating with Josh. Make sure you're communicating with Josh when you want to schedule your committee meeting. Okay, great. Unfinished business committee assignments. I think I've beaten that horse. So any questions from commissioners about that? Anything at all? Okay, moving on to new business. That was supposed to start at 7:48. It's 8 o'clock. So I'm going to start with the easy stuff first. The finance committee meeting. I just want to ask that every chair, every committee has somebody that will attend a finance committee that I want Josh to just schedule. It's something that we can, we've historically done in the past. We get the program dollars to spend. How are we going to spend them the rest of this year? what's our plan to use those dollars for next year? So pretty simple, straightforward meeting. The membership is just, if you're a co-chair, just send a representative to the meeting and Josh will let us know. That's going to be scheduled. There's an opportunity we were asked if we could sign on. I was asked if I could sign on for a letter of support to preserve the historic Franklinton Engine House number 10 by a group called the Franklinton Area Neighbors. So I was sent a PowerPoint that I forwarded on to all commissioners, and I forwarded on a letter of support. And I feel like I needed to bring this to the group. They wanted a letter of support from the Greater Hilltop Area Commission. I wanted to see if we could put this up for discussion and eventually like to entertain a motion that we vote whether or not we're going to support signing a letter of support.
I'll second your motion, whenever you put it forward.
Perfect. All right. So is everybody familiar with the information that I sent? Does anybody have any discussion points or questions? Yeah, this is the PowerPoint that we were sent. Thank you for bringing this up. If you're not familiar, engine house number 10, it hasn't been used for a while. I don't know the exact dates. It's in some of this information that they sent. It's been a couple of years since it's been actively used. This is a bunch of pictures about when it was built, how it's kind of been really important in the Franklinton area. I reached out to the chair of the Franklinton Area Commission just to see, and I just did it right before this meeting. I'd like to see how the commission and area feels about preserving this and what their input was. But this is engine house number 10 here there on Broad Street. And eventually you'll get to some pictures. There's some, I think the important part is what they put forward is we could do nothing. They could do nothing, and then what's going to happen, and it would be torn down. If I don't know this PowerPoint verbatim, but this is the current status. It's one of 2 historic buildings in Franklinton. It's been vacant and used for the city of Columbus storage for the last several years. It's owned by the city of Columbus, and the information here is the city has no plans to use it, right? There's no plans to use it. So why would there be interest in keeping this, historic building here? It's the longest active firehouse from 1897 to 2008. So it was operational until 2008. It's a beautiful building with architectural detail. It's a prime location for city services and possibly a private venue. We're going to be reanimated, so it can be an asset to Franklinton. Can increase business traffic on West Broad Street. Franklintonians and firefighters are certainly wanting it to stay. I think there's another slide. And I'm sorry I'm reading, it's just I think this is hard to see. It's in red print. So the future of engine house number 10, the Franklinton area neighbors are saying, well, nothing could be done. We can just wait for it to be demolished, right? That's one option. Or there's plan A or plan B. The request is Columbus City Council to renovate and repurpose it for city services and add it to the Columbus Register of Historic Places. Plan B would be to bring it up to code and continue current use. So the letter of support I sent to everybody, it's pretty straight. I don't think there's any more slides, are there, Josh? Oh, okay. So what's the process? In January and February, they're trying to build awareness of just that it's sitting unused. There might be an opportunity to do other things with it. They're looking to gather signatures in January and February. That's why we're being asked if we could support a letter of support. Present it to the Columbus City Council in February or March, and next steps will be determined in March based on, I guess, that response. So the letter that we're being asked, I've got a lot of papers in front of me. I think I've shuffled it again, but the letter itself, that's okay. Let's discuss. Any questions? Yes.
So I received all this earlier in the month as a historian, and actually was real involved with So as I was saying, I received this information, I think, I want to say like a month ago, and sent in my own letter of support for this project. Here's the deal, for those of you who might be new to the West Side or to Columbus in general. the city doesn't have an awesome track record of preserving our historical landmarks, especially ones that are more unifying, and actually are relatable across cultures, across people, ones that everybody has used, or that, you know, all groups of people have used or appreciated over the years. We had to fight really hard to keep our old station house number 17 on West Broad Street. Just about 13 years ago, it was going to be demolished entirely and just leave the facade in order to build the medical center. So I wholeheartedly support this particular project. Franklinton has lost a whole bunch of landmarks in the last few years, and it really sucks. And especially since Franklinton is one of the most historic areas of Columbus. It's the first settlement in Franklin County. This is owned by the city. I don't have huge high hopes of them being able to utilize it, but they're taking more steps than we ever did for our own firehouse as far as being able to utilize it. So I absolutely encourage everybody to support this letter, because Franklinton needs to preserve their history and needs all the help they can get to keep whatever historical landmarks they still have in place. So that's my 2 cents.
Appreciate that. My comment would be, and I did let this sit in my inbox for a while, you know, and so to bring it tonight, I think is important. I think we're right in the timeline of what they're asking for. This letter itself doesn't necessarily have to be the words that we signed. She says you're welcome to draft a letter yourself. If any, you know, if we want to do that. My comments about the letter, it's about a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of ideas. There's a lot of possibilities. I think the actionable thing, if we sign it, the way the letter is written now, is that we would be supporting a recommendation to make it a historic, you know, it would be added to the Columbus Register of Historical Properties, right? I mean, there's a lot of information in this letter about possibilities. I'm sorry, Joe, what'd you say?
Focus, yeah, I agree.
Focus on, we would.
I would just say related to that, like, it's not necessarily our place to weigh in on what the neighborhood needs that building to be, but it is, you know, as West Siders, we should be able to say, maintain our historic buildings and kind of leave it at that, is how I would pare this letter down. It's very long.
It is. It is. Well written, lots of possibilities. Yeah. Let me make sure we finish the discussion here with commissioners first, and then if anybody else have any questions, comments.
Who's specifically asking for this?
Rebecca Humley from the Franklin's area neighborhood group.
Okay.
It's like their civic association for
Gotcha.
for that area.
Okay. But it's not the area commission.
It is not, no. And I apologize to Jackie, who's the chair of the commission. I just reached out to her just this afternoon and said, have you guys seen this? Have you signed the letter? And I just can't expect somebody to respond to me within an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did.
They did. So they sign on at a commission meeting. They talked about it. There was discussion about it. OLBC is offering.
Yes, they discussed it during the January meeting and they voted to support.
Great. Thank you. Any other comments or discussion from commissioners?
I mean, I think it's important that we would like fully support this. You know, historic, to Commissioner Kepler's point, historic preservation is like extremely important. Everything that does impact Franklin also impacts us in a lot of ways. So I think, you know, we will hardly support this, and, you know, the length as well. So I agree.
I agree too. I agree on the premise that since Franklinton was the first neighborhood, right? Like, why would we not? You know, I mean, that building, I think of my great aunt, it would be over 110 years old now, and down there in Franklinton. So, I mean, I got you. Like, we should support this.
This survived the 1913 flood. I mean, that's no small thing. Any of the structures that did, I think they deserve a chance for preservation.
Absolutely, all those things. Good way to- yeah.
With all of us in agreement, should we just maybe look into further?
So, yeah, I do want to put a motion up. I want to make sure that I'm being, I want to make sure that I'm putting the motion forward, correctly. I'm not very good at this, to be honest, but, you know, we have this letter that's 2 pages long. I heard some opinions that we should maybe just kind of skinny this down and draft a letter that would say we would support, renovation, preservation of engine house number 10, that we would fully support moving towards making a historical landmark. And that, you know, we believe that this is important for the, you know, Franklinton area. It's supported by Franklinton residents, and kind of skinny this down. Okay.
Do you know if they're working with the Columbus Landmarks Foundation?
I don't know.
Or the Franklinton Historical Society? It sounds as if Franklinton Area Commission is signed on, but is this really a collaborative? I'm not saying it doesn't need to be saved, but I'm wondering if they're using the right resources. The Columbus Landmarks Foundation would be the first people to go to.
Absolutely.
They can help them through that whole process.
Yeah, she wants to get this letter to some of Remy as soon as possible. So I think that, you know, given this timeline, this is why she's trying to do that. So I'm not sure. I've not talked with her. It's just been through email that we've been corresponding. So
So what's before us is just if we agree to put up, that's it. Like all the other things are not in our bill ahead.
that's why I want the letter to be clear
Yeah.
that we would support Franklinton area neighbors to say, yes, we, as Greater Hilltop Area Commission and the people we represent, we would support the preservation of engine house number 10, that we would encourage it to be in actions being taken to pursue it being an historic landmark. Any other thing to add to the letter? Okay, perfect. So let's put that up then for a motion would be to, as I just drafted the letter.
So you're going to be writing and sending the letter?
Yes.
Okay, so we're including that in this vote, like you
Yes.
giving you do.
Yes, you're gonna give me editorial rights
Yes.
in this, and then you're gonna give me the opportunity to sign on behalf of the greater area.
I think you already have editorial right.
I'm just trying to do my job here.
I believe you're the only one who is allowed to buy our bylaws.
No, because I honestly, I was gonna say, yeah, busy this couple days. Anybody want to volunteer to write it? But no, I will write it and make sure I get it signed and get it back over there. So perfect. I'm glad you clarified. So the motion is all of that, right?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you for the second. So let's do a voice vote. Everybody in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody that wants to abstain? Perfect. Motion passed. All right, so on to our last order of business is, Aaron, thank you for sticking around. The announcements will start going off here pretty soon, but the City of Columbus capital budget input and recommendations. I presented everybody in an email. We have been historically, as long as I've been a part of the commission, asked to present on behalf of the Greater Hilltop capital budget requests that we would like the city to consider. And so 2 years ago, I think there was a little bit more of a ramp to give input. Last year was a little more condensed, but what we presented as our recommendations is in a letter that I gave everybody in their email. And I did bring copies of it if anybody in the audience wanted to see it. Thank you. So thank you. You're the best. There were 6 items that we suggested as capital budget requests for last year. Alleys, oh, that's the letter. Okay, so alleys in the central hilltop region and what that meant, finish replacing the 300-gallon bins, pave and repair alleys, including potholes, remediate flooding issues, more lighting, and repair street curbs. That was number 1. Number 2, sidewalk and crosswalk upgrades on Sullivan Avenue from Holly Hill Drive to Georgesville Road. Sidewalk and crosswalk upgrades from West Broad to Wilson Road to Philippi. construction of a new Sullivan Avenue Police Substation, street repairs on West Broad Street, east of Hague to Interstate 270, and construction of a youth recreation center in the Holly Hill, Georgian Heights area. Those were the big kind of a list that we kind of came up with. We tried to get some public input, try to get some information and collect that. Went through a voting process to say, you know, which of these we are going to prioritize. And this is the job that we did last year. I was saying to Avery when we were talking, let's get ahead of it this year, right? Like, let's try to give us a little bit more of a ramp. And so, Avery, this is probably a good time to just talk about what do you need in terms of capital budget requests this year, and how's this process going to work?
Okay, I would love to. So I just want to talk a little bit. I promise this won't take too long, but I do know we have new commissioners. We have commissioners that haven't been through this process before. So briefly, the capital budget is what you would consider, you know, your building, for alliteration's sake, like a building budget. So it's an investment in infrastructure as opposed to an operating budget, which would be your people and your program. Some things like, say, construction of a rec center might has capital and operating funds that would be delegated to it. So every year, the city passes a capital improvements budget and a companion capital improvements plan. Capital improvements budget is year 1 of 5 in the capital improvements plan. The capital improvements budget is ordained. It is a financial obligation for, you know, what projects are funded. The capital improvements plan is adopted as a resolution. So it does get vaguer, but as you can imagine, departments like public service will kind of have to plan for, you know, updates. Maybe they'll put in the capital improvements plan, like, you know, $500,000 for updates to a project that they're going to do this year. Things like that. It does get broader as you go along. So the capital improvements budget is different funding wise from the operating budget. Unlike with the operating budget, there's no undefined kind of pool of resources to draw funds from. Like I said earlier, kind of like a web. Rather, it is from those a bond sale and those things that you vote on every year. The city auditor uses that voted debt to leverage debt for these projects, which allows us to get really a lot cheaper interest rates. And all that to say, we do it before COVID. It was always kind of an early summer thing because we try and leverage that debt and get the contracts going before construction season to get the cheapest amount. We have a great auditor. She does a fantastic job with this whole process. So all that to say, I'd like to give people some context of operating capital, and every year we're asking and things like that. So this year, ideally, it's back on track. Ideally, it's June. It comes after a bond sale. Something that's really important about our capital budget is it is decentralized. Every department creates their own capital budget, and the Department of Finance and Management kind of like accepts and funds and like they work with them, as opposed to kind of the operating budget. So each department has been working on their capital budget at different rates. I think Rec and Parks works on theirs like 2 years in advance. You have your capital planners that work and put those together. So every year we, as a city council, because Councilmember Elizabeth Brown started this, we try to create an engagement process for city council members to use, to hear from residents, to know what we should be advocating for to the departments while they're developing their capital budget. So, you know, when they have their weekly meetings with the Department of Public Service, we can say, hey, we heard from these 3 area commissions, sidewalks. What is the plan for that? How can we fold that into funding that you already have? Like I said, it's different from operating. We can't tack $23 million on the way you can with the operating. So all suffice to say, we are hoping to move this project ideally even earlier. Ideally, this will be like a fall thing, and that gives the council members time to be like, this is what we're hearing. Every department has a different community engagement strategy, if they have one at all. Like the park audit is like a Rec and Parks community engagement strategy. We have had success in the past when it is kind of like condensed, and say they'll do a capital improvement budget line item that says $4 million for park activation. We can then say, which is a real one that was from 2 years ago with Rec and Parks, you know, like we're hearing from Franklinton that there's this like medium park activation is adding like a bench or a, you know, a playground, things like that. You know, can we get some of that money that you already allocated? Because there is a kind of a finite amount. I wanted to go over those things. I don't think I have in the past. I think it's important, as we move forward, so you know how to engage best. So what we do with this information, we take it from you. We put it together. This year we are using a form. I'm very excited about it. It'll create beautiful pie charts for me to see what people are asking for. It shouldn't affect the discussion very much, except for one key central difference. We are asking our commissions to have a numbered kind of prioritization. And that is from a practicality standpoint. Like I said, it's our team and it is the finance chair that are working on these requests. And there are 21 area commissions and some have submitted 27, some have submitted 2. And it's not to say, and I said, you know, you can prioritize them however you want. Maybe it's the project that you've asked for 5 years in a row and has not, or maybe it's the most dire public safety issue related. I know it's kind of hard in a area like the Hilltop that has sub neighborhoods within it, and it's huge. It's our biggest area. And to that, I'll say we will still be doing our general public use capital engagement form as well. I would have those forms for you today. We just had the people that need to approve it have been out this week. So I would have had it. It shouldn't affect your discussion except for to consider it will have kind of 1, 2, 3. Doesn't mean that we're not. It's just, it is hard for us. I think we got like 200 requests. It really helps us center because we don't live in all of your neighborhoods and see it every day. Know maybe what would be, like I said, maybe it's the most expensive thing, or it would be the largest thing, like a recreation center and things like that. I want to see if I have anything else, but I did want to be clear. Like we send them to the departments and we say, hey, the Greater Hilltop Area Commission wants, you know, sidewalks on Philippi, like you said. Is there a plan for that? If we can't put it in this one, can we put it in next year's? Can it be planned into your sidewalk plan? And we work with them kind of back and forth. As you can imagine, capital budget, very public utility, very public service heavy. So all that to say, I actually used your request last year in kind of like the beta form, like to see what they would look like. So I don't think it's very user friendly. I cannot wait to have it for you. And then when you hear from residents, maybe that couldn't get on the area commission's list, you know, if you have a civic association or a block watch and you have them all fill out this form for general use, it's such valuable information. If we see that Near East and Franklinton are all talking about lighting, that's really valuable information that we can use to kind of push and work with departments to see, you know, in those future plans. I know that's a lot of information. I'm just not sure I ever really went through it. And I
No,
wanted you to
and
know where it was going.
it's what Victoria and I were talking about, is that I think that, you know, one of the other goals for this year would be to kind of understand that process. Let's get upstream from it. Let's understand the opportunities and how those kind of line up. I think that presentation was helpful. I'm going to ask you to kind of revisit that. The other thing we talked about is how can you give us updates or, you know, some kind of a dashboard just on, you know, where are we at with progress about some of these items, right? Yeah. And so, and I know I challenged you and you ran around scurrying for tonight to try to get some updates about these things, right?
I have some, I mean, we can go over, it's like a couple bullet points, what was in the budget last year.
Yeah.
And what went through and passed. So, $4.6 million remained for construction of the Sullivan Avenue, substation, as well as an additional $8 million planned for 2023. So we can assume that would be in the CIP, but we can assume that's probably the number we'll see this year. $4 million was allocated for the execution of the Envision Hilltop plan, $1.4 million for new sidewalks on Springmont, 2.3 remains for roadway improvements to Wheatland, 694,000 for new sidewalks enabling safe routes to school, 2.6 million remained for Sullivan Avenue roadway improvements. Major new spending, this is a surprise, was $33.9 million for Hilltop Blueprint, Columbus, as well as an additional 39 in 2023. So that's like I said, not a guaranteed number, but most likely. And then there was 3.5 million in new spending for water line improvements to Eureka, Fremont, and Palmetto Westgate. So that was the mayor's, that was like the capital budget that was presented. If you want to hear like more, you can go, there was a West Side hearing, that's what was presented. And then this is a CIP map from DPS. So it will tell you kind of where, once a plan is in or a budget item is in study, it will show up on this map. So you can see like how much money it was. Like this is with public service, but I did want to share it.
This is a great resource.
Yeah.
Great.
That's all I really
Yeah.
have. I just wanted to give you some context to like start thinking about it, thinking about that list. Like I said, you know, there's no guarantee the budget could go in June. We really try and get it before recess. It has been September in the past. But the more time we have, to work for you to see these in this budget or the next, and make those priorities clear. Because there really isn't a really succinct and direct mechanism because of that decentralization that I was talking about.
Okay, so let's get into brass tacks here. So you would like recommendations prioritized by the end of March?
Yes,
The end of March,
ideally.
ideally. We have a responsibility to get as much input on these items as possible. We've got a relatively short period of time. So you're going to create, a form's being created that we can share wide and far, where people just go to the link and they can fill out an idea of what a capital request could be in the Greater Hilltop.
Yes, just like last year.
Just like last year, the form that we created and sent out to everybody, right?
Mhm.
So, okay. And so we don't have a lot of time to discuss this at the moment. Simon, you said that the planning and economic development meeting necessarily wasn't going to have a meeting. I think that it's important for community relations and planning and economic development to get together and, you know, make sure we're inviting as many people that want to participate as possible to get input and begin a discussion about this, right? What are the things historically? I think I've got a couple of years worth of letters of requests that we could bring forward. Not just this one, but maybe the year before and the year before. I think I've got at least 1 year previous to that. That would be what I would like to recommend is the work tonight.
We are gonna have a meeting this month, just, it hasn't been set yet.
Okay. You'll be getting with everybody about a date. This will be on the
Yes.
agenda.
Okay, yeah.
Right. Because we're at about the 8:30 block and I want to be respectful of that. So it is new business, it's important business. Is there anything else we could do tonight? You know, I will make sure that this goes to committee. We have active discussions about it. We publicize this as much as we can. And I want to make sure that there's anything else.
That's perfect. That's more than I could have asked for. I just wanted to make sure that everybody had clarity on who is asking for this information, where is it going? And like, you know, and then you'll have, you know, a month as individuals and residents, and committees and ad commissioners to kind of come to the table with ideas next month.
You're killing it, Aaron. Thank you.
I have two very quick questions. Do you either in the form for community members, does it kind of spell out like what qualifies as capital budget, or is there like an associated graphic or anything?
Yes, so it will pretty much be exactly like last year. If you remember, there was a paragraph. Yes, there will be,
Okay.
especially in that
Like
one.
sidewalks, buildings.
There will be drop downs. So it's like as well, so you can be able to expound on it to like, you know, provide location and things like that, but ideally it says something along the lines of like, select the project that most closely aligns with what you're asking for, and then there will obviously also be an other, because there are a lot of random things that are capital eligible, but that will give you some ideas.
Great. And then second question, you mentioned a couple of things that you said were partially funded last year and are slated to be funded this year. So you
Yeah.
mentioned the police substation, for example.
Yes.
Does that mean that we don't need to include that on our list because it's already been budgeted for?
Yes, that one, yeah, I mean, I can have, you know, the mayor has not presented us with a budget yet. We won't have one presented until June, but I can confirm that the Sullivan Avenue substation you don't need to have that on your list, that is, as well as the blueprint.
Movement is fully funded.
Yeah, for 2020, yeah, there's the plan. I mean, they have it in their capital plan, already, so, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Great questions, thank you. So I'm gonna formally invite you to our committee meeting in March. Because if you have any kind of data that you're able to share with us and could really inform kind of what we recommend, that would be great. So,
And I would formally accept.
all right, James.
Do you have a list of what those drop down categories might already be on the
Sure, yeah, I
form?
do actually.
If you
Yeah.
could like send that to me, I think it would help just everybody kind of categorize
Yeah.
what where everything would fall in, like our subcommittee wise. Definitely would help for me for Parks and Rec.
That's a great idea. Like I said, I'm just being candid. My director has been out for a week with the emergency. So like it hasn't been able to get, I would have had it for you tonight. I haven't been able to get in front of the eyes that need to approve it, to be honest, but I have one in my bag. Like, that I can show you.
Okay.
To start getting the idea.
Great discussion. Thank you very much. So I'm gonna make a motion to go ahead and adjourn our meeting for this evening. Second, all in favor?
Yes.
Thank you.